Whakaalawhalahi atu, I'm Esther Pavihi. Welcome to our final bulletin of BCN News for 2025. A special welcome and whakaalawhalahi atu to our viewers from across the Pacific, thanks to our friends at Pacifica TV. Leading the news tonight, the general election next year will likely be held in early June. Prime Minister Dalton Tangilangi informed the Niue Assembly yesterday during the adjournment debate. The Prime Minister said a number of key high-level regional meetings are planned for early next year, and the government would like to host these meetings before the general election. The last election was held on the 29th of April 2023.
In our last sitting today, that we're going to go with the full term of 3 years, which takes us to, I think the last one was 3rd of May, that we had the election. So unless there's some change a little bit earlier, but it's very likely 3rd of May or just April. So in other words, elections will be end of May or mid-June the latest. And that is where that is at the moment. We got some very important and interesting sort of meetings happening on the island. So it all depends on those, confirmation of those. I think fisheries negotiations meeting has been agreed to be held in April. I think they're just working on the dates at the moment.
The last general elections in 2023 was held on Saturday, the 29th of April. The meeting between the business community and the government was held yesterday afternoon. It was organised by the Chamber of Commerce. The main topic on the agenda was the sale of the Swanson's supermarket and the shopping complex to an Indo-Fijian investor. Most of the local retailers on the island called on the government not to proceed with the sale to a foreign investor. Prime Minister Dalton Tangilangi and his entire cabinet were all there, as were the 4 top advisors to the cabinet, the Secretary of Government and the Deputy Secretary of Government, the Financial Secretary and the Solicitor General. Here's the story.
It's got very stringent conditions on this business license process.
The meeting was held at the Pacific Way Bar, and most of the local business owners were there to show that they did not support the decision to sell the largest supermarket on the island to an Indo-Fijian investor. The tone of most of the arguments against the sale of Swanson seemed to be based on race. Many spoke about the leaders of the past who did not want Indians and Chinese people to start businesses in Niue. Deputy Secretary of Government Gayleen Tasmania explained the process that the government took to provide Cabinet with the best recommendations about this sale, starting with the appointment of an ad hoc committee solely to assess this application. Tasmania reminded the business owners that the sale of local businesses to foreign investors is not new. It has been done before. One of the key arguments from the businesses was based on a rumour that the investor would also be starting a property development business. Secretary of Government Peleni Talangi put that rumour to rest by saying that the application is for property management to manage the shopping complex that is part of the sale. BCN News was present at the meeting and listening to the views expressed. It is now up to the government to decide, but there are questions for the government to think about, and that is, how confident is the government of Niue about prioritising private sector development being a pillar in its strategic plan if the business community right now are very protective about who is permitted to start a business in Niue? Another question the government will have to consider is, are Niueans and people of Niue ready to develop the country, or are we always going to look to New Zealand and donors for aid support? Do we want to develop the island, or do we want to remain aid dependent? There are many more questions, but what was heard loud and clear from the local business community at the meeting yesterday is that they are not ready yet, nor willing to welcome an Indo-Fijian investor to the Niue business community. The Niue Police Department today launched a radio and social media campaign to promote safety on the roads and during the festive season. The key message from the police are not new, but reminding the public to drink responsibly, don't drink and drive, find a sober driver, and buckle in. A message from Sergeant Romeo Jackson is on Radio Sunshine in Wangahau, starting today to push home the message to keep everyone safe this festive season. Remember to look out for the children and teach them the road rules. The police safety campaign this festive season will include traffic stops and regular patrols. Let's all get behind our police team and keep our community safe this festive season. Prime Minister Dalton Tangilangi wants to remind the public service that some of their decisions are not sitting well with him and his government. Over the last two meetings of the Assembly, the Prime Minister has voiced his disappointment about the overuse of rental vehicles in government departments and, in his frustration, threatened to return the public service to the 5-day week.
Yeah, well, I said it in frustration and reminding the public service, but more so the Public Service Commission Office of the SOG, their full responsibility is the public servants. Because if they're not doing what they're supposed to do, I'm not afraid for Cabinet to have a directive to return to a 5-day working week. Because, it's a purpose why a 5-day was given, because of the many hats that we wear, to have Friday off for the families, village community work, and of course the whole of the island community work. But as you can see that this year that I and Cabinet cracked down on Christmas parties on Monday to Thursdays, and all other little things that go on.
Prime Minister Tangilangi said that the public service have been informed about using the Friday to help with community work, which was the intention from the very beginning when the government decided on a 4-day working week.
Come next year, you have Friday. Good example like schools, you have your sports on Friday. You have your prize giving on Friday. You're going to dedicate the time as per in the Act for teaching kids. Follow those, because we seem to be falling away and everyone do whatever they please. And I think we just need to return to some sort of normality in following the rules and the law that has been set out.
It's been happening for many years, and it's been allowed to continue with little regard for the artist. The term struggling artist is quite literal when it comes to music producers on Niue. They don't make much money from their music, and because of that, it can be a deterrent from creating music and building the industry. Popular local music producer Glenn Jackson has made an historic move to place conditions on the use of his music, especially for performers. Glenn Jackson told BCN News that making music used to take him several months to put together an album, and selling music is hard, especially now with digital platforms. It is very easy for people to download and share music, putting musicians and music producers like him out of pocket.
There is no copyright law that's in place here in Niue regarding music or intellectual property yet. I'm also registered with APRA, which is the Australia-New Zealand music agency that looks after all the music in New Zealand. And so I've been registered with them for a long time. I wish we could have that in place here in Niue, but until then, I've taken the leap forward in implementing conditions for my volume of music, for my content and body of work, and that's to protect what I have as a creative, as a practitioner in the arts, and to making sure that basically that I can feed my family too.
Glenn Jackson says that selling music on digital platforms like Spotify and Apple Music will only generate income if he has around 1 million followers. But the reality for Niuean musicians and Pacific musicians is that they don't have 1 million subscribers or followers. The only way they make music is when people buy their albums on these platforms.
I don't want to stop people from dancing. I want people to dance to my music. But there has to be a line drawn somewhere where if we communicate and and they get to clearly hear how I articulate what I really want from them and how they participate in this line of communication, then going forward, it's going to make it so much clearer that when they dance, when they get a whakapare from money, that I'll be happy because I know that they've paid a little fee to me prior to them dancing, and then I can clap with a full heart, knowing, hey, beautiful dance piece, and I'm also clapping because you put some bread on my table too. Where at this moment, for many years, as an artist, every time a song is released, I put it out there, it gets danced at an event. I'm usually either walking around looking for food and it catches me off guard, and I turn around and I see the basket getting full, and I carry on with a bit of a heartbreak, going, would it be nice as a courtesy to reach out, just to say, hey, we're going to dance your song, is that okay? Sure. Would you mind giving me a little koha or whakamena whakalofa? Just so we've had this conversation. But that never happened. That conversation only happened in my head.
BCN News understands that some overseas-based performers already pay some money to local artists when they use their music, but that is entirely up to the performers. Glenn Jackson's songs are very popular with performers, and it remains to be seen whether these conditions will help or hinder his popularity. But what is certain is that local musicians are not making enough money from their music to sustain the industry. They call themselves the battlers because every day in their line of work they face a battle with invasive species. Their efforts and aspirations are now well documented in a recently released documentary called Restoring the Rock. The documentary was launched in Belém in Brazil last month as one of the side events of COP30.
The documentary itself, it's more trying to have a summary or like a snapshot of what it really is here in Niue in regards to the invasive species work that we do here in Niue, but more of the ambition and aspirations of our country and the work that we want to do. And it's more something that we wanted to develop in collaboration with the team at SPREP. They wanted something that they could showcase in some of the events or big meetings that's been happening around the world, like as we all know, it was officially launched at the COP this year, the climate change COP. And from that, we have been able to get interest from some of the large funding donors that we are looking at, like the Adaptation Fund and the Green Climate Fund.
Fight against invasive species is a community responsibility because for Hage Tongatule and his team at the Environment Department, they just do not have the capacity to fight this alone.
It's a battle. We call ourselves the battlers for a reason, because it's always a battle. We don't really have the resources, especially the personnel, to be out there doing some of the work that needs to be done. And then we obviously don't have enough funding to obviously address all of the weeds that we have here on the island in particular. So we've got to find a way to get enough funding and then obviously try to use some of their funding to get some personnel on the island to do a lot of the work that needs to be done.
Tongatule says that there are some villages that are making an effort to keep and control the spread of invasive species, and the department stands ready to support where they can. But ultimately, it is everyone's responsibility to control these invasive species so that our natural biodiversity is protected and can grow. The documentary Restoring the Rock will be screened on TV Niue's Channel 1 on Sunday evening starting at 6 p.m. The Youth Employment Scheme, commonly called the YES program, was a government initiative back in 2011 to allow senior students from Niue High School to do paid work experience in government departments and local businesses over the school holidays. Since then, the program has changed somewhat. Students are paid up to 150 hours now, working mainly in the private sector and some government-owned enterprises. Two students, Johanna Stowers and Kumi Jackson, started working with BCN this week. Here is Johanna Stowers with the story.
28 senior students from Niue High School are out on work experience attachments with local businesses while they are on school break. Organised by the Chamber of Commerce, the Young Employment Scheme started in 2011 and was initially funded by the government. placing students in some businesses and government departments. BCN News spoke to Myrtle Mangatongia of the Chamber of Commerce about the Youth Employment Scheme.
So the YES program is designed primarily to support placements within the private sector. So as that's where the Niue Chamber of Commerce mandate sits. In previous years, there were instances where opportunities extended beyond the private sector. That was due to funding available then. However, our focus remains on placing placements into the private sector businesses wherever possible. So this also ensures our students to gain exposure to entrepreneurship, service delivery, customer engagement and business operations, all of which are critical for the long-term growth of Niue's economy. So we continue to work closely with businesses and employers to expand placement opportunities so more students can be accommodated within the private sector each year. So there was an agreement.
Johanna Stowers, BCN News.
$2.1 million worth of debit card spending was recorded with the FPOS system for the month of November. As the tourist season has ended, the card transactions show a drop in spending on the island, according to the Niue Development Bank. Credit card transactions account for $425,000. Here's our YES student, Kumi Jackson, with the story.
According to the report from the Niue Development Bank, 97% of the cards are New Zealand bank cards, and 3% of cards used in November were international cards. The Niue Development Bank provides monthly card spending on the island. The report does not account for cash spending. Kumi Jackson, BCN News.
One of the last villages to host show days this month is the village of Waiea. They held their show day last Saturday, where dignitaries and leaders joined visitors and friends at Waiea. BCN cameras were there, and of course, the folks at Waiea like to keep things short and sweet, and before you know it, the show was over. The annual show day circuit will end with the village of Liku. They will host the last show day this year, and that will be held on the 27th. Do remember to go out there to the East Coast to support the village of Liku. And we end our bulletin for the year with a story about the students of Niue Primary School's Class 4, who were commissioned by Prime Minister Dalton Tagilangi to produce his Christmas card this year. The Office of the Prime Minister said there were many contributions, and they chose quite a few to make the Prime Minister's Christmas greetings card that will be sent to Pacific leaders and world leaders and diplomats. And of course, we received the Prime Minister's card as well, and such a great idea. Before we end tonight, we want to say thank you for having us in your homes, and thank you for your support this year. We look forward to bringing you more news next year. BCN News will take a break until the 20th of January. From all of us here at BCN News, have a Merry Christmas to you all and a Happy New Year. Munui Nepo, good night.